We are at the start line for the Women's Championship 8, the penultimate race here of Canadian Henley Regatta. It is Sunday. It's been a week since the Masters Regatta. It's been a couple days since racing started on Tuesday. Here we have our second dual race of the day. You don't always see this at Canadian Henley, just two boats. There's lane 4, SAR, that's Saratoga / Arion. They are a composite crew. They train out of the same boathouse. They're coached by Eric Catalano. Arion, just kind of the high performance development group out of Saratoga, trying to pull athletes up, prepare them, and they've made a composite with their club mates, their teammates from Saratoga, lining up next to them. It's a lot of crews. It's a giant composite. What it is the Canadian under-21 team that's going to be going to the Trans-Tasman competition in New Zealand. They're leaving in just a couple days, coached by Greg Shipka, a local here in St. Catharines. He is the next-gen hub coach at the Brock University, kind of representing the coordination between Rowing Canada and Brock University. So we'll see what Greg's crew of under-21 athletes can do against the Arion team as we get started.
Yeah, in the championship events and the eights, you're allowed to put in composite crews. Normally you have to row with members of your own club, but this is a chance for athletes coming together. Originally it was designed for athletes who have returned from world championships to race. If you've raced at under 23 worlds, junior worlds, senior worlds this year, you're not eligible for a lot of events except for the championship events. So that's why you see this combination of boats. Now the crew coached by Greg Zipka, they've been training here out of St. Catharines in preparation for the Trans-Tasman Cup. Looks like their crews are off cleanly. The crew on the left, the composite crew, they're rowing at about 38.5, 39 strokes a minute. And the Saratoga Arion boat just beside them, they are rowing at around 39 strokes a minute as well. The Saratoga boat looks like they're having a little bit more difficulty getting their blades out of the water together. Not quite as in sync as the composite boat in lane 5 on the left-hand side of your screen.
Yeah, I really like seeing the colors of the composite crew. You just see the stroke pair wearing the St. Catharines cerise and blue, backed up in the engine room by some Victoria City Rowing Club. You get that the V on the back, kind of earmarked by the green, followed by a bunch of university athletes, some university unisuits. So it's nice to see that really just a collection of Canadian athletes. I think that's really cool. As they approach the 500-meter line, they're rowing in a Brock boat, I believe, certainly Brock blades, and they've got maybe a seat or two lead over the Saratoga Arion program.
This looks like a good start of the race for both boats. Not a lot given up, and particularly for the composite crew that's going to be heading over to New Zealand to race New Zealand and Australia. This is a great race for them to prepare. Now, the Trans-Tasman Cup, typically between New Zealand and Australia, for under 21 athletes who didn't make their under 23 team. So this past winter, Chris Marshall, Ontario's high performance rowing director, he got in touch with Rowing New Zealand, Rowing Australia, put out some feelers. They were quite welcome to have the Canadian athletes there, and since then Chris and Rowing Canada have put together what they feel is a strong team to go over there and compete at Lake Carapiro in a week.
Yeah, I think that's really exciting. You see that kind of idea happening with the Canamex for the Canadian American Mexican junior kind of development team. The athletes that don't quite make the junior world teams, they get to go to that Canamex regatta every year. It's good to see that at kind of the next step. The development regatta, of course, for the under 23s. Typically, you might also see them do a Canada Summer Games. Of course, that's only every 4 years. So having the opportunity to do that is, I think, a really, really good step in the right direction for helping to develop those athletes for Rowing Canada. Of course, we had some athletes competing here from Zimbabwe who earlier in the week, we had 5 athletes who made the trek over from Zimbabwe. They were basically telling me, one, that they had a really good experience. They had nothing but good things to say about the rowing community and the competition level and the experience they were having, but also just They are treating this, their coach was saying they treat Canadian Henley, it's their third year coming in a row. They treat this as kind of their version of Canamex. They get to come on a trip. They don't get to go to Junior Worlds. It's kind of the next group that didn't make that Junior Worlds team. They come here and they race and they get another competitive experience.
And you're going to see that right here. We've got the two crews. The composite boat on the left, they've opened up a slight lead, about 5 or 6 seats. The Arion Saratoga boat, they're not letting them get away. They're both rowing at a stroke rate of around 36 strokes a minute. They've brought the rate down from the start, and as we go through past the island, you're going to hear some cheering. The stroke rate might come up. The athletes might be making a move. The coxie is calling for an extra push of 10, 15, 20 strokes to either try and get a lead, a few more seats if you're the composite boat on the left, or if you're Saratoga Arion on the right. The coxie's encouraging the athletes to reel them back in, try and give themselves a better positioning for the last 500 meters of the race.
Yeah, just looks a little more aggressive, I think. Certainly the catch end of the stroke out of the composite crew. That's going to be the Canadian under-21 team with the coxie Alex Birkinshaw. She's the coxswain out of University, British Columbia, so she actually probably knows Greg Shipka quite well as a cox and athlete. Just looks like there's a bit of a struggle there in stroke seat from the under-21 team on the background of your stroke right now. I think she might have fallen off her seat, so Saratoga might be surging ahead, see what they can do. Again, Alex Birkinshaw, the cox, gonna try and rein their crew back in and see what they can put together.
Yeah, it looks like Saratoga, the Arion crew, has started to reel them back in. They're going to have momentum on their side. Their coxie is going to be telling them that there's a problem going on in the boat beside them and that now is the time to take advantage of that. And as we start to head through the 1,500-meter pylon, again, not much between the two crews. This is going to be a tight finish. The stroke seat for the composite boat, she's going to probably bump the rate up a couple beats, really trying to make sure that her falling off the seat there isn't going to cost them the race, and Saratoga Arion is going to try and take full advantage of that.
Yeah, so this is going to be exciting. It's been kind of very slightly the advantage of the composite crew on the left of your screen right now. It's been their advantage for 3/4 of the race. They did have a bit of a technical mishap there as they were approaching the 1,500-meter pylon. Now I'm sure they've got the adrenaline. We were ahead. We just kind of had a blip. We gave the other crew a chance. We have to get back in this. We have to smash their chance. Meanwhile, you, of course, have the crew on the right-hand side, the Arion Saratoga program trying to seize the opportunity, trying to push their bow ahead after the mishap. We'll see what these athletes do as they come storming to the line. Very aggressive finishes out of both crews, really trying to push their bow ball out in front of the other crew. You can just see a couple of heads shifting over, looking back and forth, and there's not much to give here.
Now, Arion's up to about 41 strokes a minute. The Rowing Canada boat on the left, they're around 41. These athletes are going to have to take it to the wire. It's going to be very difficult to call. Both boats just driving through, see who's going to get to the line first.
Oh man, it's really just going to be who is on the surge of their stroke. I think it goes to Arion.
I think so too. It looks like they just pulled ahead just slightly at the end. That's going to be devastating for the stroke seat of the composite boat. But this will be a lesson for them as they get ready for their trip to New Zealand.
Yeah, just outside of the shot of the picture-in-picture, you couldn't quite catch it. You saw the stroke seat leaning over. That was Caitlin Boudelet leaning over onto her coxie, Alex Birkinshaw, probably just saying, like, I imagine expressing her feelings off of that mishap there.